Picture this. You spend $3,000 building a beautiful wood deck for your tiny house. You are proud of it. You show it off to friends. And then, 2 summers later, you are sanding, sealing, replacing warped boards, and wondering where another $800 just went. Now picture your neighbor. She spent a little more up front on composite decking, but she is sipping coffee out there this morning. Zero maintenance, zero regrets. Which one are you? And more importantly, which one do you want to be? Today we are breaking down the real cost of composite versus wood decking for tiny homes. Not the marketing fluff, not the showroom sales pitch. The honest 2026 numbers. By the end of this video, you will know exactly which material saves you more money over time, which one works best for your climate, and the one rookie mistake that costs tiny homeowners thousands of dollars they never get back. Stay with me, because the answer might genuinely surprise you. Before we dive in, if you're new here, welcome. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, because we put out honest, no-hype content about tiny home living every single week. And if you find this video helpful, drop a thumbs up. It helps more people find us. Now let us get into it. Here is something most people overlook. In a regular 2,000 square foot home, a deck is a bonus. A nice to have. But in a tiny house, we are talking 200 to 500 square feet. Your deck is not optional. It is part of your living space. Think about it. What do you eat in the summer? Where do guests sit? What do you decompress after work? That deck is your dining room, your living room extension, your breathing room. Getting this decision wrong does not just hurt your wallet. It affects your daily quality of life. Industry data from 2025 shows that tiny homeowners who add decking report up to a 20% improvement in their satisfaction with their living space overall. That tracks. When your home is small, every square foot outside counts double. And because tiny house decks are typically smaller, usually between 80 and 200 square feet, the per square foot cost differences between composite and would become even more significant. A few extra dollars per square foot on a small deck can mean the difference between staying on budget or blowing it completely. So let us start with the basics and then get into the real numbers. Wood decking. When people say wood decking, they usually mean one of 3 things. Number 1, pressure-treated pine. This is your budget option. It is pine lumber that has been chemically treated to resist rot, insects, and moisture. It is cheap, it is widely available, and it is the most commonly used decking material in America. Number 2, cedar or redwood. These are naturally rot-resistant softwoods. They look beautiful, they are lighter, and they require fewer chemicals. But they cost more than pressure-treated pine and still need regular maintenance. Number 3, exotic hardwoods like ipe or kumaru. These are dense, incredibly durable tropical woods. Ipe can last 75 years or more, but they are expensive, harder to work with, and some species raise sustainability concerns. Composite decking. Composite decking is an engineered product. It is made from a blend of recycled wood fibers and recycled plastics, typically polyethylene or polypropylene, held together with bonding agents and pressed into boards that mimic the look of real wood. The best composite boards today are capped with a protective polymer shell that resists stains, scratches, fading, and moisture. Brands like Trex, TimberTech, and Fibrin dominate this market. They have gotten remarkably good at replicating wood grain patterns and textures. Now that you know what we are comparing, let's talk about money. Let us look at what you are actually paying in 2026 based on current market pricing. Wood decking, material cost per square foot, pressure-treated pine, installed. That works out to roughly $25 to $35 per square foot total. Raw lumber has stabilized in 2026, but labor remains the primary cost driver here. Cedar, approximately $2.11 to $10.58 per linear foot in materials, depending on grade. Installed, cedar has crept up to around $35 to $50 per square foot due to the premium labor typically required for finishing. Ipe hardwood, $6.34 to $7.82 per linear foot in materials. Fully installed, expect $50 to $80 per square foot. This is the Rolex of wood decking. Exceptional longevity, serious price tag. Composite decking, material cost per square foot. Entry-level composite like Trex Enhance. In 2026, Most big box stores are hitting closer to $3.50 to $6 per linear foot for this tier, a slight increase from prior years. Mid-range options, $5 to $8 per linear foot. Premium capped composite like Trex Transcend or Signature. These lines have seen a 15% price increase, and premium boards with cool deck heat mitigating technology now regularly exceed $12 to $15 per linear foot. Fully installed, composite decking runs $50 to $100 or more per square foot. On a typical tiny home deck, let us say 120 square feet, pressure treated wood installed might cost you $3,000 to $4,200. A mid-range composite deck on that same footprint, around $6,000 to $9,600. That is a real upfront difference. You could be looking at double the initial spend. But, and this is a massive but, the upfront cost is only half the story. And it is the half that tricks most people into making a decision they regret later. Stay with me for the next section, because this is where the math flips completely. Let us talk about the total cost of ownership. Not just what you pay on day one, what you pay over the life of your deck. Wood maintenance costs. A wood deck demands serious attention. You need to clean it, power wash it, sand it to reduce splintering, and seal or stain it every 1 to 2 years. You will periodically replace boards that warp, crack, or rot. Over time, that adds up. If you hire a pro, maintaining a wood deck costs between $450 and $850 per year on average. If you do it yourself, expect to spend $150 to $300 per year in materials. And note that stain and sealer prices have risen roughly 8% since 2024. Either way, the costs accumulate fast. Over 10 years, that is $1,500 to $8,500 in maintenance costs alone, on top of your initial build cost. Industry data shows that 80% of repair calls for decks involve wood decks that are over 12 years old. By year 15 to 25, many wood decks need either significant resurfacing or full replacement. Composite maintenance costs. Composite decking needs nothing more than soap, water, and a light scrub 2 to 3 times per year. Annual maintenance costs for composite runs just $5 to $15. Over 10 years, that is maybe $150 in maintenance. And composite decks are engineered to last 25 to 50 years. Most manufacturers offer 20 to 25-year warranties covering fading, staining, and structural integrity. The 30-year math. Over 30 years, composite frequently equals or outperforms pressure-treated wood on total cost. The break-even point typically hits somewhere around year 6 or 7. That is the industry gold standard estimate for 2026, and it is a stat worth writing down. For a tiny house owner who plans to stay for a decade or more, composite is almost always the smarter financial choice. For anyone planning to move within 2 to 3 years, wood may still pencil out better on a short timeline. Beyond cost, there are real performance differences you need to know. Moisture and weather resistance. Composite decking handles moisture exceptionally well. It resists mold, mildew, and rot without any treatment. It performs well in humid climates, coastal areas, and regions with heavy rainfall. In freeze-thaw climates like the Mountain West or the Upper Midwest, composite also holds up better because it does not swell and contract the way natural wood does. Wood varies a lot depending on species. Pressure-treated pine and cedar handle moisture reasonably well with proper sealing, but all wood requires regular upkeep, or it will eventually crack, warp, and rot. Splinters and slip resistance. Here is a big one for tiny houses where you are often barefoot. Wood can and does splinter as it ages, especially untreated softwoods. Composite boards do not splinter, split, or crack, making your deck safer for kids, pets, and bare feet year-round. Slip resistance is roughly comparable between the two when both are wet, though some composites now include textured surfaces specifically designed for high traction performance. Heat absorption. Here is one downside of composite that is real and worth knowing. Composite absorbs and retains more heat than wood in direct sunlight. On a hot summer afternoon, a dark composite deck can get uncomfortably hot underfoot. The good news, in 2026, heat mitigating technology is no longer a luxury feature. It is becoming a standard talking point in composite marketing. If heat is a concern for you, look for cool deck or linear technology. Some 2026 composite lines now claim to stay up to 30% cooler than traditional PVC decking, though they still will not beat the natural breathability of real wood. Choosing lighter board colors also helps significantly. Wood stays cooler to the touch in the sun, which remains a genuine advantage in warm climates. Weight, a critical factor for THOWs. This one gets almost no attention, but it matters enormously if your tiny house is on wheels. Composition is heavy. A 100 square foot composite deck can weigh 200 to 300 pounds more than a cedar deck of the same size. If your tiny house on wheels travels with the deck attached, that extra weight affects your tow vehicle rating, tire load, and fuel economy. In that situation, consider PVC decking, brands like AZK, instead of composite. PVC is 100% plastic with no wood fiber content. It is lighter, handles road vibration better, and performs extremely well in moisture-variable climates when a home moves between regions. It costs similarly to premium composite, but is the smarter call for a traveling THOW. Now let us talk about smart design, because getting the most from a small deck space is an art form. Right-sizing your deck. A standard rule of thumb is to keep your deck under 20% of your home's square footage. For a 400 square foot tiny house, that means a deck of around 80 square feet as a baseline. But be honest about how you plan to use it. If that deck is also your dining room and living room extension, size up accordingly. The folding deck option for THOWs. If your tiny house is on wheels, a folding or detachable deck is a smart play. Redwood, lightweight cedar, or PVC boards are popular for this because they balance durability with manageable travel weight. The deck can be hinged to fold up against the house when you move, using heavy-duty door hinges secured to a ledger board. Zone your space. Even on a small deck, you can create distinct zones. A dining area flush with the door for easy play traffic. A lounging area dropped 6 to 8 inches lower to signal a different rhythm. A narrow perch oriented toward your best view. Built-in benches with under-seat storage keep clutter off the deck surface and free up floor area. The hybrid approach. Here is a smart money-saving strategy that experienced builders use. Composite or PVC decking boards on a pressure-treated pine subframe. You get the low-maintenance surface where it counts, underfoot, while using more affordable wood for the structural framing below, where it is protected from the elements. This hybrid approach can significantly reduce your upfront cost, while preserving most of the long-term maintenance advantages of composite. Material match to microclimate. If one side of your deck gets constant shade and moisture, that is your highest drought risk zone. Use composite or PVC boards there. On sun-baked sides, composite in lighter colors or a cool deck line controls heat. At your grill zone, use fiber cement edging or stone tile for the area immediately around the grill since it is exposed to grease and direct heat. Okay, I promised you the one mistake that costs tiny home owners thousands of dollars. Here it is. The mistake is buying decking material based on the per board price at the lumber yard without calculating the total cost of ownership. You see pressure-treated pine at $1.50 per linear foot and composite at $6 per linear foot, and the math feels obvious. But that math only covers month 1. It leaves out year 2's staining job, year 4's board replacement, year 7's sanding and resealing, year 12's major repairs. It also leaves out your time. Refinishing a wood deck takes a full weekend every year or 2. What is your weekend worth? For a lot of tiny homeowners who are already time-stretched from work, from building, from managing a small space, spending your limited free time maintaining a deck is a real quality of life tax. And here is a second part of this mistake that almost nobody talks about: the resale trap. In 2026, data shows wood decks carry a slightly higher immediate return on investment, around 80%, compared to composite at around 65%, simply because of that lower entry price. So on paper, wood looks better for resale in the short term. But here is the catch that is especially relevant for tiny homes. A gray, peeling, weatherwood deck is one of the single biggest deterrents for a potential buyer. It signals neglect and hidden costs. A pristine composite deck, on the other hand, is a selling feature that requires zero fix-up before you list. No staging, no sanding, no last-minute repairs. It is move-in ready, and it looks like it. For tiny home buyers who are already doing careful due diligence on a smaller, non-traditional property, condition matters enormously. So before you make your final material call, Sit down and calculate the total 10-year cost, not just day one. When you do that math honestly, composite wins for most tiny homeowners, in most climates, most of the time. The exception, if you're on a very tight budget and plan to move in 2 to 3 years, where you genuinely enjoy outdoor woodworking maintenance, then pressure-treated wood or cedar might still be the right call for you. There is no universal answer, but there is always a right answer for your situation. Let me make this simple. Here is your quick decision guide. Choose composite decking if you plan to stay in your tiny home for 5 or more years. If you hate maintenance work, if you live in a humid, coastal, or high-moisture climate, if you have kids or pets and want a safe, splinter-free surface, or if you want a low-maintenance showpiece that looks great for decades. Choose wood decking if you're on a very tight initial budget and need to minimize day one costs. If you plan to move within a few years and want to recoup your investment quickly, or if you love the natural warmth of real wood and are genuinely willing to maintain it. Choose PVC decking if your tiny house is on wheels and the deck travels with you. The lighter weight, better road vibration tolerance, and all-weather performance make PVC, brands like AZK, the smart pick for the THOW lifestyle. Consider the hybrid approach if you want composite or PVC performance at a lower total cost. Use engineer boards on top with a pressure-treated pine subframe below. And there you have it, the honest, no-fluff 2026 breakdown of composite versus wood decking for tiny homes. The bottom line, composite costs more on day one, but it pays you back. Wood costs less up front, but demands more from your wallet and your weekends over time. And if your home is on wheels, PVC might be your best option of all. Choose based on how long you plan to stay, how much you value your time, what your climate throws at you, and whether your home moves or sits. Do not choose based on the sticker price alone. That is the mistake too many people make. If this video helped you, share it with a fellow tiny home builder who is about to make this decision. Drop your questions in the comments. I personally read every one. I will see you in the next one. Build smart.